Hey everybody, Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another daily deck tech video and another viewer request. And today we got a request for a high budget deck and a style of deck that I am not the biggest fan of, but you know what? We're doing it anyway. And today we have the Necrobloom. But before we get into that, if you like my daily deck techs, if you like Magic for the Working Class, Historical Commander, discussion content, anything else in between, feel free to subscribe. I'm currently working on something a bit different from my discussion video, kind of a bigger one. I'm doing it in a different format, so when that's out, you'll have to let me know how that goes. And also, if you want to see your commander made into a deck tech, feel free to drop it in the comments down below, or fill out the form in the Google form in the video description. And now, without further ado, let's get into the Necrobloom, shall we? Necrobloom is it's Field of the Dead on a creature. It's a 2/7 for 1 generic, white, black, and green. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0 and green pest creature token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. That last part of 7 or more is Field of the Dead ability. And then land cards in your graveyards have Dredge 2, which means you can return a land card from your graveyard to your hand and mill 2 cards instead of drawing a card. So, it's a lands deck. It's a landfall deck. We're going to take advantage of that. We're going to have ways to tutor up the lands that we specifically want. This deck is extremely high budget. The person gave me a budget of $2,500. I kept it under $1,000. And, yeah, super something. And it is bracket 3. We do have 3 game changers in here: Glacial Chasm, Crop Rotation, and Field of the Dead. Alrighty. Let's take a gander at our creatures, shall we? So first we have Aftermath Analyst. It's a 2-drop. It's a 1/3. When it enters, you mill 3 cards. That's not bad. Getting lands into graveyards is going to be just about fine in this deck. And then you can sacrifice it to return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Not bad, especially once you've been doing that quite a bit. We have Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. All of your non-token creatures are forest lands in addition to their other types. So they still retain their names. So if you have Field of the Dead or Necrobloom out there, these will count towards your different named lands count. It's important to note. Braids, Arisen Nightmare. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, opponents have to sacrifice things of that type. If they don't, they lose 2 life, you draw a card. Bristly Bill, he's out here doing Bristly Bill things. He's going to put 1/1 counters on your creatures. And then you can double 1/1 counters. 2 win cons. Triple is a little dangerous, but we're trying it. Craterhoof and Moonshaker in here for game-ending bombs. I know they're very generic, but I don't like beating people to death with tiny tokens. I want more big tokens. Elish Nord, Mother Machine. She's a 4/7 for 5. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control the trigger, it triggers twice. An additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't under your opponent's control don't trigger. Eternal Witness. Get a card back from your graveyard. This is one of those things, like if somebody gets rid of your Field of the Dead, you can get it back. Horizon Explorer, lands you control, enter untapped. Whenever you attack a player, create a lander token. Lander tokens let you pay 2, sack it to ramp a basic land. Ice-Till Explorer, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may play lands from your graveyard, and whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. When power and toughness each equal the number of lands you control. When Lumra enters, mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Nissa, Resurgent Animist. She is going to just like plop out some mana when you play a land. She's like Lotus Cobra. Whenever you play the first land, it adds mana of any color. Then, if this is the second time this ability is resolved, reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal an elf or elemental, and then put it into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library. We have several elves with like Eternal Witness, Oracle Moldiah. Where is it? Tireless Provisioner is in here as well. There you go. Oracle Moldiah, you can play lands from the top of your library. You can play an additional land on your turn, and you play with the top card of your library revealed. Perennial Behemoth. You may play lands from your graveyards. Yeah, he's a 5-drop, but you know, having an extra play things from the graveyard effect is not bad. Redundancy is good, friends. Ramanab Excavator. You can play lands from your graveyard. Scoot Swarm. I love it. I love it a lot. 6. Whenever 6 attacks mill 3 cards, you may put a land card from among them on into your hand. As long as it's your turn, non-land permanents cards in your graveyard have retrace. Springheart Nantuko. You bestow it on something. When landfall happens, you either create a bug or you can pay 2 to create a token copy of whatever you bestowed on. Sylvan Safekeeper. Sack a land. Target creature gains Shroud till end of turn. Thalia and the Gitrog Monster. 4/4 for 4. First strike, death touch. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, which is very mean-spirited. And then whenever Thalia and the Gitrog Monster attacks, sacrifice a creature or land, then draw a card. We have the Gitrog Monster, Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog Monster. Unless you sacrifice a land, you can play an additional land each of your turns, and whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. Tireless Provisioner. Landfall, you get a food or a treasure. Tireless Tracker. Landfall, you get a clue token. White of the Reliquary. This creature gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a land card. Put it on the battlefield tapped. So, get out the lands you need. Use this to search up the ones that you need. And World Shaper. Whenever World Shaper attacks, you may mill 3 cards. Whenever World Shaper dies, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Sorceries. We have Blasphemous Edict. We're going to be generating a stupid amount of tokens, so this can essentially just cost black. So you may pay 1 black rather than pay its mana cost. If there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield, each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. Culling Ritual. This card's stupid. My friend Mitch plays it in his commander deck. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add a black or a green for each permanent destroyed this way. Farseek lets you search for anything but a forest. Or promise, search your library for 2 land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Then if you control 3 or more deserts, create 2 black zombie creature targets. We're not running deserts, friends. Immortal Bargain. Sack a creature, destroy sack X creatures, destroy X non-land permanents. Life from the Loam, return 3 land cards from your graveyard to your hand. You can dredge 3 it. Open the Way, can't be greater than the number of players in the game. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X land cards. Put those into the battlefield, and the rest tapped, by the way. The rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Shamanic Revelation, draw a card for each creature you control. This helps when you have some tokens out there. Don't deck yourself, friends. You gain for Ferocious, if you have things with 4 or greater, you gain 4 life for each creature 4 or greater. Sylvan Scrying, tutors the land. Attempt with Discovery. You get to search for a land. If your opponents want to do the same, then you get to search for a land for each one of them that searched for land. And then we're trying out a new one. I actually was going to run The Ring Goes North, but we're going to test this out instead. Look at the top 20 cards in your library. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield. Tap, then shuffle. You gain 8 life. It costs 8, but we're going to be able to get lots of lands. Crop rotations in here. Sack a land, search for a land, put it on the battlefield. Elemental Teaching. Search your library for up to 4 land cards with different names on them and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest on the battlefield tap. This is fine because we have lots of ways of getting our stuff back. Entish and Harrow each search for basics. We did not put a lot of basics in this deck, so these are our only 2 basic searches. We have Ultra of Dementia. Sack a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. Mill them out with the zombie and bug tokens. Amulet of Vigor. This card's like $58 now. When I bought like the bunch of them I had for when I didn't have candelabras in Legacy, they were like $6. But whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped under your control, untap it. Cauldron of Essence. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1, you gain 1. Sacrifice a creature, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Conduit of Worlds, you can play lands from your graveyard. You can choose a non-land permanent card in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you can cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. We have ourselves Crucible of Worlds with what appears to be the Dwarf Fortress art. You may play lands from your graveyard. Expedition map, search for a land. Exploration, brood ship, crew it to 3+. You can play an additional land on each of your turns. Head Shredder, when it attacks, mill 2 cards. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from your library, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Horn of Greed, whenever a player plays a land, that player draws a card. Zeron Orb, sack a land, you gain 2 life. Burgeoning, whenever an opponent plays a land, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Exploration, you play an additional land. Case of the Locked Hothouse, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. If you have 7 or more lands, you solve the case. Solved, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast creature and enchantment spells from the top of your library. Druid class, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, gain 1 life. Level 2, you can play an additional land. Level 3, target land you control becomes a creature with haste, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Felidar Retreat, you can put a 1/1 counter on each of your things, or poop out a cat. Growing Rites of Itlamok, when it enters, you look at the top 4. You get to put a creature into your hand, and then at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 more creatures, it flips into Itlamok, Cradle of the Sun, which is essentially Gaia's Cradle. Retreat to Hagra, Landfall, target creature gets +1/+0. Don't do that one. Do the each opponent loses 1, you gain 1, drain them. Ripples of Undeath, I like this card. I play it in a few of my decks. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards, then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. Spelunking, we are running, I think, 1 cave, so don't worry about that. But when it enters, you can put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put a cave onto the battlefield this way, you gain 4. Lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. And then the Mending of Dominaria. Mill 2 cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That's chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 3 is return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. Lands. Okay. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, because that would take a long time. But there are a whole bunch of lands in here. We are only running 11 basics, and that might be too many. I just didn't want to get blown out by like Price of Progress or a Back to Basics, right? Command Beacons in here, so you can sacrifice this land, put your commander from the into your hand from the command zone. Barren Moor. We have some of the cycling lands, right? Like Barren Moor, where is it? Secluded Steppe, Tranquil Thickets in here. We have Vesuva, Thespian Stage. They copy lands, which I want to let you know that with Thespian Stage, when you have Dark Depths in play, you can copy it. You can get yourself a Merit Liege token. Pachuca Bog's in here. Bossing Say for Earthbend. You know it's really gross if you Earthbend your Field of the Dead, which is right. Where are you? Is this it? Yes. This art is Field of the Dead. If you bestow the Springheart and Tuco on it, and then you have landfall triggers, you can make more Field of the Deads and probably break things. Evendo can become a Gaia's Cradle. Aganjo shoots something for 4. Echoing Deeps can copy a land card in a graveyard, except it's a cave in addition to its other types. Boseiju is in here to pop things. Dryad Arbor is a creature land. Ghost Quarter and Wasteland are both in here if you want to be a jerk. Urborg and Yavimaya are in here. We need the rest of this cycle, please, Wizards. Give us the blue, the white, and the red ones of these. Although I assume the red one will say something like, all lands are mountains, and punch yourself in the face, because I don't know what it is about red cycle cards, but they just always are usually worse. Urza's Cave lets you tutor up another land. Oh, and then we have Glacial Chasm. Cumulative upkeep 2 life. When it comes to play, sack a land. You cannot attack. All damage dealt to you is reduced to 0. And then we have, that there. Alrighty. That is the build. This card is, this deck is far more expensive than anything I can afford. So, let's see what we have going on here. I say, hey, what's going on? Indoth of Triome. Next turn. Forest. We're going to keep the Altar of Dimension in our hand. We don't want to reveal what we're doing. Although we are playing the Necrobloom, so people already know what we are doing. 3. I'm going to Entish Restoration. I'm going to sack this forest. View library. We're going to get a Plains and a forest. Close shuffle. All right, this is Command Beacon. We're going to go ahead and you know what? This turn, we're actually going to play the Horn of Greed. We're going to play a land, which lets us draw. Okay, look at that. Next turn. We're going to play the Necrobloom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good old the Necrobloom. So Landfall, you know, we can get a plant. I'm going to play a forest. We get a 0/1 plant token. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different land names. Next turn we're going to draw. I am going to play... I'm going to float a green. I'm going to play Glacial Chasm. Sacking this forest. Sacking this forest. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get a thing here. A 0/1 plant. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to play Hour of Promise. Search our library for 2 land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped. View our library. I'm going to grab Urborg and Field of the Dead. We're going to close. These are going to enter the battlefield tapped. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's the deal. Field of the Dead is going to see itself and here. So we are going to get 2 zombies. 2 zombies for the Necrobloom. And then we're going to get 2 for Field of the Dead. And we are off to the races now, friends, because people can't hit us because of Glacial Chasm. We're going to go like this. We have that there. We have that there. I'm going to play Thespian Stage. Draw a card. We get to create 2 zombies. 1 for Necrobloom, 1 for Field of the Dead. I am going to pay 2 to have Thespian Stage become a copy of Field of the Dead. I then am going to cast Farseek. View my library. Can't grab a forest. I'm going to grab a Godless Shrine. Goes there. So we get 3 more zombies. As you can see, things are obnoxious already. I don't even have the Merit Legion play. I don't have Urza's Cave in here down in play. I don't even have the Gitrog monster down. And we already have 1 million zombie tokens and are just going to get more. On our next turn, you know, you can slap down the old Bristly Bill. Get down there, Bristly Bill. And then, like, you can play your Urza's Cave. Pop your Urza's Cave. Getting another land. We'll just grab Vesuva. Vesuva coming into play as a Field of the Dead, meaning we'll get 3 triggers here and then 4 triggers there. We have a million zombies. You can play things like Altar of Dementia to start milling out your opponent. That's what the deck does. This is what Necrobloom and Field of the Dead decks do. They're very straightforward. They're very resilient because people don't run land interaction. Because of the stigma around it, these decks take advantage of the fact that people are likely, even at bracket 3, not going to be playing a strip mine or a what do you call it? Oh my god, a strip mine or a wasteland or even a ghost quarter. And so you're gonna have to rely on like them. The opponents are gonna have to rely on having like a generous gift or beast within, and that's not great. Maybe an Imprisoned in the Moon. So yes, these decks can get very powerful. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.